first speaker, Aiman Saif, is the Director General of the Authority for Economic Development of the Arab, Druze, and Circassian sectors in the Prime Minister's office. His position is a measure of Israel's commitment to this issue. He previously served as economic consultant at the Ministry of Economy and Planning. His publications include the economic development of the non-Jewish sector in Israel and Middle East Economy, Israeli Master Plan 2020. No one is in a better position to inform us about government initiatives. Mr. Saif? Yeah, I think it's better. And then we'll sit for the rest.
So good evening, everybody. Masai al-Khair and Erev Tov. First of all, thank you very much for holding this event. I think this is a very, very important event. Thanks for the Jewish Federation in Toronto, for the Interagency Task Force, and for the General Council in Toronto to have this event here in Toronto. I will give you a short overview about the Israeli Arabs, macroeconomic data and trends, the gaps, and what we are doing at the government to change the situation of the Israeli Arabs in Israel. First of all, a personal comment. I worked for the government for the last 20 years. I started in '94 when Rabin gave about 40 positions for Arab academics to start to work for the government. It was in '94. And since then, I'm working for the government in different positions. Regarding the Israeli Arab society, I don't know if I will use a lot of the slides and presentation because I want to feel free to talk with you, about what's going on, with our society. So we will talk about data and macroeconomic data, but I want to talk to you, and I want to hear from you also the questions about what you want to know about us, about what we are doing also in Israel. So we are 20% of the population in Israel. There are 82% Muslims, 10% Christians, and about 8% Druze in Israel. The majority of the Arabs, they live in their own communities. About 72% they live in their own communities. 24% they live in mixed cities like Tel Aviv and Jaffa, Akko, Haifa, and all these cities. And most of the Arabs, they live also in the periphery. In the north and Haifa, where about 65% of the Arabs live in the north and in Haifa. Regarding the educational level of the Arabs, there is a positive trend in the last year. The rate of Arab academics increased in the last years. Today, we are standing at 13% of the Arabs, men and women, they have an academical degree. Compared to the Jewish community, there are still gaps. 27% the Jewish community. But if we compare the situation of the Arab women, like in 2008, there were only 5% of the Arab women with academic degree. And today, they are about 13%. They are even above the Arab men. By the way, there are more Arab women students at universities and colleges than Arab men. 65% women and 35% men. So we have to take care about the Arab man in the coming years. Regarding the employment, you know that Israel, they have a relatively low participation rate in the labor force compared to the OECD countries. On average, it's about 74% in Israel, I'm talking about the whole population, compared to about 82% on average in the OECD countries. The main reason is the low participation rate of the Arabs and the Haredim, the Orthodox in Israel. Regarding the Arabs, our major problem is among the Arab women. Only 27% of the Arab women are part of the labor market. 27%. If we compare it to Arab surrounding countries, we are talking about 45% in Jordan, Lebanon, Syria. So it is not a traditional case. It is the major reason is lack of job opportunities for those women. Regarding the Arab man, we are talking about 70% participation rate of the Arab man. Although the Arab man, they go out early from the labor market. Why? Because they work in physical fields like construction, industry. So in the age of 44, 45, they go out of the labor market. Now, we are 20% of the population, but our contribution to the GDP of Israel is only 8%. So the Israeli market is losing more than 30 billion shekel a year because the Israeli Arabs are not integrated in the Israeli economy. That's why, and there are also other reasons. I mean, the Or Commission and the events that were in the year 2000, the suggestion of the Or Commission, one of the suggestions was to invest in the Israeli Arab community. The entry of Israel into the OECD organization was another, trigger to invest in the Arab community. And I can tell you that the government, the Israeli government, since 2008, put the Israeli Arab community on the top of the agenda of the governmental policy. And it doesn't matter if it is a Likud, the government, or before that was Kadima and Labour Party, the integration, the economical integration of the Arab society is the top priority of the government because of the reasons that I mentioned before. So since 2008, there were several governmental resolutions that were approved by the government. One of them was the creation of the authority that I am managing at the Prime Minister's office. So I started to build this authority at the Prime Minister's office, and the location of the authority at the Prime Minister's office says a lot, okay? So that the Prime Minister by himself is responsible about the integration of the Arab minorities into the Israeli economy. I mean, we can be a unit at the Minister of Economy or Minister of Finance. No, but the government decided to create the authority at the Prime Minister's office. So I started in 2008. I was one employee with a secretary. And today we are 14 employees at the authority. We started with zero budget in 2008. And today we are running governmental plans for over 2.5 billion shekels. And we are running a lot of programs, and I will talk about some of these programs today. The government of Israel took another resolutions. There are about 6 governmental resolutions that supposed to change the economical situation of the Arabs. We are talking about a total investment of over 5 billion shekels to be invested in the Arab communities. We are talking about investment in infrastructure, meaning to create industrial zones in the Arab villages and towns, public transportation. By the way, until 2010, there was no public transportation within the Arab communities and villages. So we started to do that in the last 4 or 5 years. We are investing a lot in planning and construction. We're trying to build new modern neighborhoods in the Arab villages and towns. We are trying to build new housing units condominium buildings and higher buildings within the Arab villages and towns. It is not easy because we, as Arab, we used to live in, like low buildings and not higher buildings, so this is a challenge. In terms of employment, because I mentioned that employment is one of the major challenges, we do a lot of work. And as example, we are establishing 21 employment centers, and Safa will talk about it later. Employment centers within the Arab villages and towns to attract Arab women to come to these centers and to integrate them into the labor market. We have created, as example, together with the philanthropists, by the way, microloans, a fund for microloans for women. We gave in the last 3 years about 3,000 loans to Arab women to start businesses at home, and this is a great success. And we are continuing, to invest in these areas. A major part of our activities is also to invest in the business sector. We want to encourage, to help the Arab business sector to expand. So we do a lot of projects to increase the access of these businesses to capital. As example, we created a private equity fund for 180 million shekel to be invested in Arab initiatives. The majority of them is in the high-tech and internet industry. By the way, one of the most growing sector in the world in terms of internet is internet in Arabic language. There is a shortage of over 7 billion websites in Arab language all over the world. So our fund invests in about 7 investments in this issue. This is websites in Arab language in different areas, in medicine and economy and other things. Other major things that we are doing, we're trying to help the private sector also to penetrate additional markets, new markets, to do export. And we have created, a program with the Ministry of Economy to help the different businesses, to do these export things. And we have additional projects. I don't want to talk too much about these projects. What I want to say is that despite, this investment, these governmental investments, and we see, the positive change in the macroeconomic data. I mean, the rate of the women, of Arab women that are part of the labor market is increasing. And today, we speak about 27%, but 5 years ago, it was only 23%, 24%, okay? So we are increasing. In terms of, as I mentioned, educational level, we are also in a positive trend. Transportation, we have more transportation now, public transportation within the Arab villages and towns. But still, the gaps remain large, and we have at the government, and we will continue to invest to decrease these gaps between the Arabs and the Jews. Two major challenges that we are facing today. I mean, the war with Gaza in the last month changed the priorities of the government. More budgets were allocated to the defense ministry, and more budgets were allocated to recover the southern part of Israel. So the priority of the government changed. That will make our mission harder to get more budgets for our plans. But I believe, together with the Prime Minister himself and the General Director of the Prime Minister's Office and the Ministry of Finance, that we will get the additional budget that we need to continue with the positive direction that we started 5 years ago, and to help the Israeli Arab society be integrated in the Israeli economy, and also to help Israel be one of the most developed countries in the world, which is a main target of the government. That's for now, and I will leave it for other questions. Thank you.